Thank you for tuning in this evening. This poem is called Beyond the Pale. The tragedy waxes and the romance wanes. The axis buckles under all things vain on a nauseous product placement-laden walk of shame to the grave. The deafening sound of deja vu ricochets between us. So we summon sullen memories of gleaming pearly whites, of knock-off, jack-off labels and killer hands we never played, and we learn for a time when we scurry like the rats we are to a place in the shade. But a classic timeless horror has made a dollar-shedding comeback. The flotsam of each decade, sweatshop garbed and steroid jacked. It's a souped-up candy floss nightmare out there, mate, and it's gagging for a coat of black. So let's go beyond the stale reruns, reboots and relapses to the ever-running reel of filth that'll play till the world collapses. Beyond the hype, the prudish stare, the stink, the starch and the helpless glare, the broken parts, the scorch marks and the cycle of try harder, fail. Let's go for a second coat of black, because this is beyond the pale. Thank you very much. So again, thank you so much to all of you who have tuned in for the launch of my second collection, Vitriol Works. I'm so very, very proud of this here thing. It was written between 2016 and 2020, well, verging on 2021. So basically the classic sort of never-ending pile of shite that those 4 years were. We have had to deal with racists, with transphobes, with anti-vaxxers, with actual full-on Nazis, yet people like myself have been asked to explain why Little Britain has been cancelled. As Kevin mentioned, cancel culture, yes, that is all our fault. Us dirty, lefty, horrible millennials. Why are we the way that we are? Because letters were assigned to us that make no godly sense. Because where are you from is a question that brings us out in shingles. Because all we are is stark frayed edges, blue tack turning grey at the corners, fresh cardboard boxes and dashed promises. Because permanence to us is so fictional, it's hilarious. Because we're broken, meaningless chains of code. We are back-to-back obvious punchlines, instant noodles and tepid sex. We are eye-popping statistics that no one double-checks. Because we are generation whatever next. Generation you couldn't make it up. We are no smoke without fire. We are misbegotten plans. We're the work of idle hands and the labour of the loveless, the fruitless trees that spring from the cracks now crushed by a spoons and a Starbucks. Because we're the parents of Express Yourself and the children of Don't Make a Fuss. The yellow, sick and damaged goods shunted round from shelf to shelf, because our blessed screens, they taught us how to score and pull and push too hard, to down in one and tear in two and perpetuate a lie, how to selfishly live and selflessly die, but not how to cope with the numbness. And because we're bored and we're bloodless. And all this cradle to the grave is choreographed and witless. Postcodes and pigeonholes, astral signs and borderlines, X's and Y's that paralyze us. Thank you very much. So yes, I really was hoping that tonight would be the full bells and whistles Flapjack launch event that there usually is at Manchester Central Library. So it isn't. I'm coming to you tonight from the sunny land of Halifax, probably the home of the mediocre white man. It's a place that was labelled the Shoreditch of the North by The Guardian a few years ago, which immediately led to a local man saying, no, it's not, because around here you don't get to have loud hair and dress like a twat. Which immediately led to about 20 people tweeting him back going, have you met my friend Geneviève? She lives in Halifax. So it is very sad that people still think that way, but there are genuinely people out there that think that salvation is just a haircut away. Come back, rejoin the living choir, invisible. It's here where everyone succeeds. Nobody has time to seethe or bleed or be miserable. You'll be as pleased as booze-free punch to be one of us, stuck in a live, laugh, love, wet dream with no reprieve. Every touch of a human hand immediately sanitized. Your life will be synonymous with godliness. Fear not, my child, because you're one bank-breaking suit away from greatness. One bottle of bleach from a AAA pass to a world where everything makes sense, where jobs and opportunities and runs of good luck are endless. No one ever feels shyness. We sleep with ease, we work with passion, and everybody falls in love in a calm and orderly fashion. Don't dwell on the imperfections burnt into your psyche by a lifetime in a land of hopeless glorification. Don't look at the finger marks around the neck of your throttled nation, because we swear from the bottom of our empty hearts that you're just one haircut away from salvation. You're so close. Just one stiff brush and a decent dose of self-denial, and you'll be one of us, a creature who has to remind themselves to live, laugh, and love. Thank you. So I'm aware that people are watching at home right now and thinking I'm very full of myself for saying thank you to a room with absolutely no one in it. Well, like I said, I am very much missing the Flapjack launch experience. So what I've done, I've gone to the trouble of drawing myself my own audience. So I'm aware that this is probably back to front, but here I have, and this is just based on my last launch 4 years ago. Here I have all of my goth friends who I used to go clubbing with. Here are the other poets. And here, just right here, is my best friend, John Darwin, drinking the rest of the booze. Hi, Darwin, nice to see you. So I have missed everybody very much over the last year. But during that time, I have become one of those terrifying creatures known as a parent, which means I've had to learn how to watch my language. And I've come to the decision that there is one word that has to leave this house, because I do not want my daughter to ever use the C words. Leave the word cute in the 90s. Let it die in our bygone days. Consign that word to the arse end of the airwaves, give it 6 feet under one-hit wonder status. Shove that word in the pile, mark permanent hiatus. Embrace your inner roughness and shuffle to the deathly beats that fill your chest. Leave your P's and Q's on the streets, leave sweetness at the gate, leave angelic pleasantries to the soft-fingered elites. Be vicious at the parapets, be a banshee in the sheets. Leave coquettish niceties to girls in badly written books. Let every word be a tough left hook. Let every breath be snide. And call me a cunt from dawn till dusk, but leave the word cute outside. Thank you. And thank you, imaginary audience. I can see at least one of you wincing. This following poem I devote to my Scottish grandmother, who is sadly no longer with us. She would have turned 100 years old not that long ago. And it's a shame she wasn't around, because we would have had a hell of a time burning that card that she got from the Queen. Now, I found out a story about her last year. Apparently, she didn't find out that she was a grandma until 5 days after I'd been born. And the sad thing about that is, that happened to be April the 1st, so she thought my mum was joking. So this poem is called Jape of the Decade, and it shamelessly refers to the popular show Red Dwarf, which some of you will definitely recognise if you're my age. We are talking Jape of the Decade. We are talking raging, sick, rampaging, 5'4" of fool. Yes, I am real. A cringeworthy fist bite of a thing. 2 stars and a broadsheet groan. Your pride will be as vast as your average Argos paddling pool. Your mark, a smudge of coal and bleach. A layer of tarmac, lace and smoke, a stain so irremovable. A misfire so repugnant. A scribbling, swerving stumble with a fucking English accent. We are talking 0 encores, drowned in the sound of no hands clapping, drenched in a storm of lead balloons. I am diminishing returns. The page, the void, and the charity shop. Survival comes in threes, a cackle from the gallows. We are talking Jape of the century. So on from a poem about my grandma to a poem about my daughter. So yes, she had her first few scans in a lockdown situation. That was so much fun, and I also had the really, really fun experience of not actually feeling her kick until quite late on. So this poem is one that I wrote for her, and it's called Kick. Kick once for Queen and country, may they boil in our Scottish blood. Watered down though it may be by piss-weak tea and sneering moans, kick a second time for girls in flock wallpaper prisons. Kick a third time joyfully for the word no and its meaning. Kick a fourth time spitefully for the ones who would ignore it. The fifth, a sprawling roundhouse kick. For yes, you can, you will, you must. And the sixth will assure me that you're ready, fighting, fit. Thank you. So this next one, I have to give a shout out to Clare Shaw, who is one of the people who wrote an absolutely fantastic quote for this book. Thank you so much, Claire. She was one of the first people that I actually admired as a stage performer back in 2012, when I first heard her perform a poem called You, which let me in on the rather weird NHS tradition of labelling the size of your fetus based on fruit, which I guess is fine unless you're a common scruff bag like me and you have no idea how large a guava is. So I was looking during lockdown at the NHS website going, well, that's great. I've heard of that particular fruit. Could you perhaps maybe, I don't know, compare it to a Game Boy? That would be really useful. Can you do that? But no. So I devote this one to Claire, and well, you're going to know the reference in the title. This is Oranges Are One of the Three Fruits. She's built in unknown quantities, a slice of life in measurements unused for centuries, a Martian week, a Plutonian night, 3/4 of a Mississippi, 7 hands, 2 pyramids, the ship that made the Kessel Run in 12 fucking parsecs. In essence, she is massive, but she's tiny. So panic, but don't. Lose your mind, but don't lose your mind. Find your so-called happy place and scream in it. She's fruit that you have only seen in posh cider bottles, through Canal Street goggles, just glossy, polished nourishment for deities untouchable, the stuff they squeeze, ferment and sell as aperitifs you can't afford. So panic, but don't panic. Lose your mind, but don't lose your mind. She is fresh fruit, but she may be bruised or chewed by worms or rotting. Stay alert, but not too alert. Sleep well, but not too well. Be calm, be still, be petrified, a placid orchard wrapped in flame. She is the size of terror, the size of grief, the size of lust, the size of a cartoonish smile drawn in your breath on a window pane. So panic, but don't panic. Sing morbid songs in your daftest voice. Find your so-called happy place and ruin it with ugly colours. She is the size of your contentment in those cider-drenched Canal Street summers, the size of your crooked wingspan, of your battered leather roots, your million grim lyrics, and your list of just 3 fruits. There's no such thing as a sexy tune now, Kim. Our smitten youthful serenades were always just another type of screaming, set to beats that kick us square in our lack of feelings. Man, we used to sway our hips to this and kiss like the end was nigh, but now we 4 left feet between us and no inclination to try. These songs that used to writhe with us and linger in the liquor and the lip gloss unceremoniously blow our little plastic hearts to bits, because it's tough. Look, chin down, Chuck, violently passing the final buck, trying our best to strut to the opening bars and comfortably numb. These songs, they're now the lullabies that sing billionaires to sleep. Bolted to their tacky dreams with no respect for truth or taste, they make waste in the slaughtering of our holy cow, because it's all just words and noises now. It's all just words and noises now. It's all just words and noises stapled randomly in place on a pile of smiling faces that look nothing like ours. There's no such thing as a tune now, love, just taxidermist music. The cheerful sound of fists unclenched and forced around plastic flowers. It's just another word for failing, just a sugar-coated beating, just another way to hurt yourself without the mess of bleeding, just another type of screaming, just another stealth attack, just another life condensed, a pre-packed, bashed up cardboard box for the day that you don't spin back. Thank you. This next one is another that I wrote when I was quite pregnant. As you can probably see if you bought the book already, this fantastic picture on the front. Firstly, I want to thank my mother, Kathy Walsh, for taking it. We did spend a fair bit of that day looking for the actual Vitriol Works in Manchester, and we failed. We did, in fact, find an absolutely perfect place to take it. I was heavily pregnant, and we were stood next to a building site, and that was the best day out we had in 2020. This is something I wrote for Richard when I was at that stage in the pregnancy. She'll crawl from the Brexit rubble, the jetsam of two 90s relics hitched in matching balaclavas, names scrawled on in Tipex. Her fingers won't know clean, no soft, no anything but rip and scab, but they will stitch the tapestries that kick the bones of Byron. Her lexicon will singe the air, the ants will flee their colonies, pages scrawled by dead men will burn within her fists. Persephone in hand-me-downs, grey where we once sported black. Who's responsible? Up front, you fucking are on the back. Thank you very much. To give that poem a bit of context, given that absolutely no one asked, this is a spray-painted Manic Street Preachers t-shirt that I made about 8 years ago with who's responsible up front and you fucking are on the back. If lockdown hadn't happened, I would have had to wear this to a Manic Street Preachers gig over a 6-month baby bump. So, every cloud. I'm just going to do 2 more poems for you now. The reason I gave this book the name that I did is because the last year has really pushed a lot of us, I think, into trying ideas that are completely alien to us. So concentrating on our breathing, making sure that we remain mindful. And I don't think that is easy for everybody. So I immediately remembered something that I used to see every time I took the train from Halifax to Manchester or back. And it was a big sign just outside Middleton that said Vitriol Works. Dolls like you and me, we're anchored always in the past. Non-linear, nonsensical, perpetual title sequences run through our heads. No solace to be found in a single flame. No presence in our breath. No stillness in our core. No trinket box of glistening rocks, nor tea, the shade of potpourri, nor soft play incantation can bring us back to shore. Dolls like you and me need words that tear the stratosphere. Need songs of mournful brokenness, blared out through open windows, need rest in the arms of chaos, need rhapsodies in dirt. Softness used to serve us well, but right now, vitriol works. Okay, this will be my final poem, and I just want to say thank you so much to Paul for publishing this book. It really means the world to me, and thank you so much to Kevin for your fantastic forward to the book and for your set today. You've had me absolutely in stitches and you've got me right here as usual. I think this is where the heart usually goes, right? So this final poem is one that I originally wrote to end a show that I wrote, and I think it still applies in these difficult times. When the box is packed and the deal is sealed and the T's are crossed and your eyes are peeled for some way out of this land of off-white noise, take my hand. When risk and doubt and hunger are your auto-generated states. When you're picking up the broken bits in a shallow sea of triple sec and double-barreled bullshit, remember that we've wriggled free from greater scrapes than this, because we're the marching, screaming type that don't go down without a fight. The overworked, the underpaid, the joker card that's seldom played for anything but laughs. We are the 0-hour contract party people, born to boil right-wing piss, made to dodge fists, and built to last. We're the anger that never dies. We are the love that never fades. We're the spectrum's roaring strain of black, and this is our place in the shades. Thank you very much, everyone. I've been Geneviève Walsh.